So for so many of us, we're coming out of a lockdown, we've got easing of restrictions, and there's a massive amount of things and stuff, those technical words that we need to be doing and should be doing. And let's rip in right now with a really good friend of mine that's going to help you guys out with exactly what you can be and should be doing for your business right now. G'day, guys. Welcome to another podcast. I've got a good friend of mine, Brett Odgers, on the line here, and you guys that are on the video side of things will be able to see him sitting with a much better backdrop than I do myself in around Longueville in New South Wales in the beautiful little bay there. Welcome, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's really good to be here, mate. I'm out on my boat. I just recently bought an old fixer-upper, and I'm out here fixer-uppering and chatting to you guys, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely. And it's a very good clear sound with those new headphones you've got there, mate. So for those that aren't watching this, check it out. Nice little boat, and very happy with the fact you've got your Liverpool hat on as well, mate. Love it.
You never walk alone hat. So those of us who are a little bit nutty about our football. Oh, and I'm wearing red too. It's not a Liverpool shirt, but it's reddish.
No, that's all good. So, mate, thanks for joining us. Wanted to just dive straight in because obviously with your background, without sort of wasting too much time on it, your background has obviously been decades of business coaching across all different industries. You've always been doing a massive, an amazing job, and I've got a huge amount of respect for what you've done and what you are doing. And we got chatting this morning about the whole process of coming out of lockdown and restrictions and where we're sort of placed at the end of 2021 and so many of the things that we have been doing, but some of the the one or two of the three things that everyone should be doing that a lot of our clients still aren't doing. And I just wanted to, completely unprepped and unscripted, just have a bit of an open conversation about it, because I think there's a huge amount of power in what we're doing and what you're doing that everyone should be able to work from. If we can just have a jump into that, that'd be awesome.
It's really interesting because, we were chatting via text this morning saying, how you been? It's been a while since we've seen each other face to face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both of us sort of went, you know what? I'm happily married. I'm celebrating 33 years of marriage. I've got children I like. I like being in lockdown with my children. I enjoy it, Yeah. Business is good. My business has expanded to 11 countries this year, and I've got, enough money to do all the things I want to do. I'm not Scrooge McDuck wealthy, but I'm wealthy enough. It's a bit like, hey, all of these things are going really well, but I do sort of feel a little bit, it's hard to keep that motivation and energy up because our job each day is solving other people's problems. So it's whether it's solving business problems,
to their needs
and coaching people through it. And so, obviously we learn not to take that home with us. But there's, I find as a dad, as a husband, I'm also solving problems with, family in and out of hospital and, all the usual stuff. And it's keeping on top of your mental health, I think, was one of those things that you and I sort of went, yeah, we've really got nothing to complain about. Like we're not unemployed. We're not, alone. We're not. But it's kind of hard. And I know I think Jace had he's just been telling me about some stresses which are a bit greater than mine at the moment, but it's still one of those questions I'm always asking myself is how do I remain mentally fit for what I need to do in my business? Yeah, and I'm a huge sports fan and I've been a soccer coach or football coach if you're in Europe for decades. And in professional sports, we call it mental strength and conditioning. And it's not enough to be just good at what you do. You need to really dig into mental strength and conditioning. Now, that's all those, what people might call sort of tree-huggy, woo-woo-y kind of things of gratitude and having clear goals and taking time out. But one of the best frameworks I found recently that really helped me and my clients a lot was that I saw an article that said, what is Richard Branson's job description? Now, we all know Richard Branson is, is the owner of Sir Richard Branson, I'm sorry, owns islands,
Necker Island,
he runs Virgin.
What is it, 184 Virgin brands alone?
All that
I do love the fact that he always says the only Virgin brand that failed was Virgin condoms. I do find that kind of ironic.
And Virgin Brides was a bit dodgy.
Yeah,
but,
Virgin Bride, yeah.
But, I saw this really cool article that said, what is his job description? Like, what does he do day in, day out? And I'll tell you what some of those are in a minute, because I think they're relevant to us. Now, no one would argue that Richard Branson isn't incredibly successful, financially, he's got a family, like he's successful in so many ways. And to look at what he does on a day-by-day basis, I think is a really interesting way to look at what we should be doing as leaders. Now, apart from all the business stuff, Jace, when I say Richard Branson, what's sort of the first things that come to mind when you think of him? Like just anything, like just what do you think of?
Oh, mate, one of the first things I think of, there's 4 or 5 of our good friends that you and I both know right now that are good friends with him, and they get to travel. They go and do all the amazing stuff on the philanthropy side of things in Africa, and none of that ever gets published or promoted and that. But I mean, I love seeing him do crazy adventure stuff. He does his kite surfing and that off his balcony on Necker Island and stuff in front of the boys, and just. Yep. He's the guy that goes and dresses up.
Takes a rocket ship to space.
Yeah, he's the guy that just turns up and kisses the babies. He turns up and dresses up in the women's Virgin Atlantic clothing and walks onto a plane and says, "Hi, today I'm your stewardess," and he just goes and has fun, right? He just I don't know. That's what
it's huge, right?
Yeah.
So in this job description, the first thing that they said was he creates content. He writes books, he does speeches, he does articles. He's always creating content. And I'm like, tick, that, like I don't care whether you're a physiotherapist or a coach or an accountant. I think you should be creating content, because education is the best form of marketing, I think,
Absolutely.
And if you don't like doing it on TikTok, don't do it on TikTok. If you don't like doing it on YouTube, don't do it on YouTube. Do it the way you want to.
Pick your lane, do what you want to do.
Sure as hell, Richard Branson is doing it the way he wants to, and it's working quite well for him, right? So create content. Number 2, raise your profile. Now, he goes and does a crazy stunt, like any of his PR stunts. And I can remember back to the sort of the 90s when he did crazy stuff. But he was always having fun. Like he was having fun, and he's like,
take hot air balloons around the world and stupid shit.
Right. Let's dress up as hostesses and let's all that stuff. Right. He's having fun. And the other thing he does is he connects people and partnerships. He's always looking for, how do I connect to other people, and how can we do something together? And like structurally, the Virgin entity isn't one company. It's actually like hundreds of different companies, and so he's always he's looking like, well, who can I talk to, who can I connect with that might
he's like
be
the
a
glue
win-win
and the conduit, basically, in many respects, isn't he?
Right. So far, all of these things we should be doing, right? Like I think everyone watching this podcast should go, I should be doing this. I should be writing content. I should be raising my profile. I should be exploring new ideas. Like number 3 is exploring new ideas, whether they're exploring new ideas for your business, exploring new ideas elsewhere, exploring new ideas. You've got to do that, right? But a huge part of this is time out. When I think of Richard Branson, I think he takes time out and does stuff. That's why he bought an island, so he could take his family there. And, he's now turned that into a business, and people can go and hang with him for large sums of money and learn from him and all that stuff, like our mates. But he takes time out. And so when I think about those things, I think, okay, so let's assume you've got your business, basically in shape, like you're not losing money. You might not be making as much money as you should be, but what should I be doing to take it to the next level? Well, I reckon there's a few lessons from Richard Branson. And one of the things I've started doing with my clients is saying, what time out are you taking, not on weekends, or not, at Christmas or whatever, what time are you taking out each day? And one of my clients said, you know what, I've got so much leave. I just haven't had a holiday in I don't know how long. And I went, well, you're taking Friday off. And he's like, but, no, I don't care. What are you going to do? He's got 2 dogs. He's got a motorbike. I said, you just go for a ride through the bush with your dogs and have some fun. And he comes back on Monday and he says, oh my gosh, Brett, I was just out there walking with the dogs and I just had this brilliant idea. I know exactly how we're going to solve XYZ problem. And, we just solved a problem which is going to sort of double his turnover over the next 3 years. And I'm like, do you think you would have done that if you didn't go out for a walk with the dogs? And he's like, no, not a chance. I didn't have. I said, okay, so what's next? I want you, if you're going to do this every couple of weeks, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? And, I guess that's why I'm on the boat. I'm out here, I'm doing it up. It's a bit of a project, but while I'm sitting here putting a new sail up the front or fixing the rigging up the back, my mind is kind of in neutral, and then my subconscious can kind of work on all these things in the background.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think this is one of the big things for all of us is, what time out are you taking? What are you doing now? We're talking here on the boat, and it's a pretty pleasant place to have a chat with you. So why not? I've actually got 5G broadband on the boat here. I can't quite believe it. I got better reception on the boat than I do at the office. So why not?
More time in the boat, Brett.
Guess where I'll be coaching from.
I've got to jump in there. I think it's a really interesting point because, I mean, I'm seeing it a lot with our guys as well. Like I feel like for so long now, we've all just been. It's like we're all in our own hot air balloon, Sir Richard Branson style, but we haven't actually been able to take off. Like we've lifted off the ground, but we've got those 2 or 3 big ropes tying us down to the ground. They're like the restrictions. They're you can't do this, you can't do that. You got to do that. You got to check in before you walk in. You got to stick a needle in your arm before you can get freedom or whatever. Like all these different ways of looking at it. But it's almost like we've got opportunities there in front of us. We're all in our own hot air balloon. We've gone to take off, and then we've got that big ass 1 or 2 ropes that are tied down to the big stake in the ground that holds us anchored to the ground. And we're sort of being constantly pulled. But ultimately right now, we're in a situation where we've got to be able to cut the ropes and actually lead our own journey, right? I mean, that's just sort of where I'm thinking in my head right now as to so much of this. And it's interesting that you spoke about your client doing that, because probably even just in the last 2-3 weeks, I think there's been a big shift on with a lot of people, and a lot of our clients is so much of this just needs to be having some of your own time out, completely just switching off, because where the business community is and the whole economy is, we're being held back with a lot of parts. There's a lot of things we can do and we can't do, but we're also like, for us in our industry, in the health and medical side of things, it's a really big time period where everyone's starting to feel flat. It's dragging on, Sydney, Melbourne in particular. You're in a situation.
It's been a marathon, and I think for
massively.
anyone in leadership, it's been a marathon, whether you're in the medical industry or you're looking after people of anything. It's exhausting. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And I really find it interesting what you're saying, probably 5 minutes ago was, talking about like content, putting copy out and leading. And I always sort of think that, like creating an authority for yourself, being the go-to person or team is obviously always important. But I think more than ever right now, there's a lot of people that are able to tick the box and say, oh yeah, Jace, or yeah, Brett, I'm doing that. I do content, I do this, I do that. But I'd probably say, what if we were to scratch that itch a little bit deeper at the moment and go, are we creating content and copy for the sake of it? Or are we actually getting better, more in-depth conversations, rapport, relationships? Are we really tapping into everything we can right now to get better and more resonation, or like to have people resonate with us and really understand? Because I think right now that emotional connection to people more than ever is paramount to success. Like it's just...
Oh, there's no question. And I've actually got a tip for you in that, because, some of you know me, I coach people to write books and, help them do all that sort of stuff. And everyone I meet has amazing content. They have amazing stuff they want to teach.
Yeah.
And I rarely have to say, hey, that doesn't make sense, or, we've got to do whatever with that. But what I do have to tell people almost every single time is, you're not telling enough stories. You're not telling enough stories. You're not telling enough stories.
And stories sell, don't they?
Well, if you think about what I just told you about, take time out, more people will actually remember my client that went walking in the bush with his two dogs.
Yeah.
Right. That story, someone will go, oh yeah, I wonder what my walk in the bush with two dogs is. That's on the boat, or whether that's walking, whatever.
Playing golf in the backyard.
Golf in the backyard, right? So I would say that I'm yet to meet someone that is telling enough stories about what they do. Now, if you're a healthcare professional, you've got so many stories that you can tell people that are positive. We're hearing stories all day long that are negative. Tell stories about the clients that did this and got that result. Tell the stories about how you discovered this new technique and it's making that impact, or, tell stories, because, that's what people connect to.
Absolutely. Mate, I hate doing this, but I'm going to shut this podcast down on this one, because we'd want to try and we're already over that 10-minute mark by a fair bit. But actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop this right now, and we're going to rip in and do another one, because there's way too much value that you're going to give on a question I want to ask in a moment. So, mate, for this session, mate, I really appreciate it. Go and get stuck into the work on the boat, and we'll chat to you soon, all right?
Okay, see ya.
Thanks, mate. Hey, guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.